ever wondered what is the difference between somebody who makes a minimum wage in Jamaica or a person who makes $1 million in Jamaica? We've all wondered it. It's not what you think. You're probably thinking something along the lines of that person is probably coming from a wealthy family, they live uptown, they have a good corporate job, and in many cases that can be true, but that's not always the case. If you've grown up in a Jamaican landscape or know anybody that's from Jamaica, you've probably heard this before. Nothing in their yard or nothing is in Jamaica. But is that the truth? Or are we brainwashed to not see the opportunities? Making $1 million a month in Jamaica is somewhat of a far-fetched idea for many people because a vast majority of the population is making the minimum wage. The minimum wage in Jamaica is $16,000 a week or $64,000 monthly. So basically I'm saying majority of the population is not even making $100,000. So how do we get from $64,000 to $1 million, which is basically 10 times that person's income? And with the standard of living so high and consistently rising, I can see how anybody would think there's nothing there. But you, my friend, you are not like everybody. You are a strategist. And frankly, you're in the right place. As I age, I understand what being a product of your environment really means, or what I like to call osmosis, which is basically you absorb what you are around. So if you're curious about seeing opportunities where others don't, continue watching. And please stay until the end because I promise you this video will be worth your time. Okay, so before we go any further, let's frame this out. Let's just say the person that is making the minimum wage is working a 9 to 65. You see what I did there? They're working a 9 to 5 for 65 years. Anyways, but say that person is working a 9 to 65, right? And the person making $1 million is basically either making some additional money from their outside job. So both of these people are working 9 to 5, right? But one is probably starting a side also or doing some contracting or freelance work, and they're getting money in addition to their 9 to 5. Or this person making $1 million a month is completely doing entrepreneurship. All right, so that's the frame that we're working with right here. It could be many different things, but let's just frame it as that for the purpose of this video. Case in point, a business is an entity that can be formed by anyone. So why is one person willing to bet on themselves and the other isn't? You guessed it. I told you you're a strategist, It's mindset. We have heard this so many times, you are what you think, and we don't pay enough attention to the thoughts that run around in our head because we just think that they're just thoughts. But I want you to look at this another way. I'm going to paint two scenarios, and if you don't think they're correct, comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. Have you noticed that Jamaicans who come to the US, the majority of them, not everyone, but they achieve success in a relatively quick time? Have you ever thought about why? Simply put, it's because they believe opportunities are in the US. So when they come, the goggles are on. They're looking for the opportunity that everybody else says is here. And they find it because guess what? You find what you look for. Another scenario that I can use if the first one wasn't enough, think about this. And I know this is a sensitive issue, so I'm coming from it strictly from an illustrative point of view. When a parent has a child who has a disability, the parent makes sure that the environment is ultra positive. No negative words, nothing negative. They're just encouraging the child to be better, do better. You can do it, you can do it. Just because the child has an impediment that they think could potentially stop that child from achieving success. So they want to give the child the highest level of success, so they encourage them, right? While if they have, that said parent have a normal child, quote unquote normal child, they expect that child to just become successful. So that same level of encouragement is probably not there just because they are saying that you're supposed to just be successful because you don't have anything stopping you, right? So we give encouragement to one area that we think needs it, and we don't to the next area that we think does not need it. So if you don't guess it by with all of this rambling, I just have this one question. What if you start believing that opportunities are in Jamaica? What would change? I remember I was talking to a friend a couple years back, and I told her that I applied to 500 jobs after graduation, and I didn't get not one single one of those jobs. And her response was, I wish I had so many jobs to apply to. At the time, it went over my head completely. But now when I think about it, I feel so sad because the limits that we put on ourselves, unfortunately, become our realities. The even more tragic part of this is that we go even further, proving the thesis of the lies that we tell ourselves. Because like I said before, you find what you look for. Okay, but now since that you know that the difference between these two types of people are just mindset, what do I do about it? I'm glad you asked. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to acknowledge that this is what you believe. Yes, it's your reality because this is what we believe. Okay, but Krista, why should I acknowledge it if I should change it? Another great question. You're killing it today, hun. The moment you accept it, that's when you can change it, because you cannot change what you won't face or what you won't own. All right, second thing, since we've acknowledged what the situation is, what our beliefs are, and where we're at, now we're going to educate ourselves. Yes, we're gonna have to learn because it's 2026, and if you are serious about your financial education, your financial journey, you have to put some investment in yourself. And if you know what I talk about here, if you're not new, then we're investing in yourselves. Education, all the way. All right, so Jamaica has 5 main sectors that have been the 5 sectors for years that own the top percentages of the Jamaican economy. These are the tourism industry, with mining, manufacturing, agriculture, and financial services or business sector. And of course, we have up and coming sectors that are really blooming, especially in this economy, and those are the construction, logistics, remittances, and the creative economy. But for now, let's just focus on these 5 main sectors to keep it simple. And I will do a deep dive into these sectors, so please stay tuned for that in a future video. But for right now, we're just going to keep things on focus. So what I want you to do is go and find out about these industries if you're not privy to them. How are you going to do this? Okay, you're going to listen to podcasts. One of the main podcasts that I've seen in the Jamaican space that is very informative is Trop, right? It's a Trop on Deck podcast, and he interviews a lot of foreign nationals who come to Jamaica and who invest in the economy, who fall in love with the country and don't want to leave, who see business opportunities and are making the money and just really loving the country and helping to develop the country. He interviews a lot of people that come here. That's a great place for you to start. Another podcast or another YouTube channel, which is the next avenue, is Irie Jamaica. She was also on one of Chop's podcasts. I actually love that episode. You can check her channel out. She just explores a lot of different scenes in the Jamaican landscape and teaches you about a lot of things in Jamaica that even I as a Jamaican did not know. Yeah, I just put it out there. I didn't know. All right, so those are 2 avenues. We are listening to podcasts, we have watching YouTube videos like this, and some other videos that are also informative on these concepts that you're trying to learn. Then we have reading. Yes, go read some books. Read about the Jamaican landscape, but also read about these industries on a global scale, because these top 5 industries are not just top 5 industries in Jamaica. These are top 5 industries throughout the world. Every world has a tourism sector. Every country, as a tourism sector. They have different sectors that are in their top 5, but these are sectors that are everywhere in the world, so you can read about them to broaden your knowledge. Another thing that you can do is, not my personal favorite, but it's very informative, watch the news. I personally don't like watching the news because I never left watching the news feeling happy, and I just don't want to constantly fill myself up with those type of sadness. But it's a very informative place. There's a lot of information there that can help you to learn about what's happening in the country and these different sectors at large. So basically, anything that will help you to have 1% more knowledge than you had is what you're going to find the information on. And our objective with learning about these industries is we want to understand who are the top performers in these industries, right? The top performing companies, the top performing earners, and the top performing skills, right? What are these people doing? And more importantly, what are they not doing? But before you do your research, I can tell you one thing. They're not sitting down and thinking that opportunities are not in Jamaica. Because if they thought that, they would not be there. Another thing I'd like to add is Jamaicans will rebut and say that
work is hard in Jamaica and it's hard to make money there. But when they come to America, they're not afraid to say, oh, I was working 16 jobs and I was cleaning toilets and all of these things just to make a buck. So why not do that same thing in Jamaica and build the wealth? You can argue opportunities aren't there or find them.
Another reality that we have to face is the business owner making $1 million a month without batting an eye like this. It's an easier concept, but to a minimum wage who is earning $64,000 a month, this is a dream, an almost defeating dream. But from my personal experience, anytime I felt like anything was too defeating to accomplish, it's because I didn't know enough. But the moment I got knowledgeable and knew what was required, it suddenly became easier, which is why I said educate yourselves. Okay, but here's the fun part. While you are doing the research, I want you to write down any job or any opportunity that comes to your mind when you think about these sectors. I want you to know how you feel, how you think, why you think this opportunity would be good for you, and why you see yourself in it. I want you to write that down. Because writing is power, and once you can see something in front of you, it gives you a perspective when you're reading your own words versus just thinking a thought in your head. The reason for this part is to help to see yourself in it. Like I said, when you see yourself in something, you start believing it. And when you start believing it, you're more likely to do something about it. And just to frankly put it, the difference between a millionaire and a person making a minimum wage is that one believed they could and did, and the other don't. So is it that opportunities aren't there? Or do we have to unlearn what we known all along to see it? If we haven't met before, I'm Khrista-Lee and I talk all things investing in you. If this video was interesting, please consider subscribing. And if you do, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, let's go make some mistakes.